everyone for joining us today. We have Rick De Vera, our channel architect, who will be presenting our solutions to services using our CP products, which is a pre-sales tool. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Rick to present to us. Thanks again, Rick, for joining us today.
Thanks, Tricia. Hello, everybody. I thank you for joining this morning. One of the things, just a little bit of background about myself. I've been with Checkpoint for 20-something years, 24 years, held many positions at Checkpoint. So I've seen where Checkpoint was at the very beginning and where we're at today. And I'm a channel architect focusing on national channels. And one of the things that I've been tasked to do with one of the partners is basically, we're not going to be able to, they want to build revenue, and the way to build revenue up is not just by selling solutions, but moving into services. And so we had to sit down and figure out what tools they had available to them to move over into service, how we get their services practice up. And so I wanted to share a little bit of information on what I found as I went along and started talking to, some of these partners and share some of this information with you. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A. I will be monitoring that. I will have stopping points throughout the presentation. There is a lot of stuff to cover. I will try to stay away from demos, although I can't get very technical on them. And but if you want to ask me offline, my email is richard@checkpoint.com. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So this is basically solutions of services and using Checkpoint products as pre-sales tools, which, a lot of people don't really realize that you can actually build your services up, your services environment, or build up your managed services utilizing the Checkpoint tools that are available. So one of the things, though, that we're trying to solve today and that a lot of executives look at is cybersecurity in general is very technical, okay? It's a technical sale. There's a technical you have to have a lot of technical background and some expertise in cybersecurity to be able to make decisions in rolling out or deploying your security environment, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, on mobile devices or remote offices, especially with the pandemic today. So in order to try to solve your business outcomes, typically we throw technology at it. But a number of things, though, that executives look at is we're always focused on, the things around, what do we need to focus on? Is it compliance? Yes, there is some compliancy that we have to focus on, but it's a perception issue. Is okay, we focus on compliance, we focus on regulation, and sooner or later that becomes their main focus without understanding without the understanding of what they actually deployed and the visibility of what they actually do. So executives really have difficulty understanding, when I made this investment, I want to be able to take not only do reports, but see how or evaluate how my product that I just purchased is doing. They want to be able to have that visibility and see how it's performing. Is it actually blocking attacks? Is it actually doing things? So those kinds of things. And when they roll out their security, they may be prioritized, or their focus is mainly on building, a compliance regulation piece, but not focused on doing malware attacks or anything like that. And so that's a big thing. But if you look at Checkpoint overall, though, hold on, let me go back a little bit. The third thing is that the investment is that what I do with my investment. Am I actually, am I addressing the limitations? Like especially today with the pandemic, right? You have remote offices, you have VPNs, and now those all of a sudden are really pushing the limits of all of the the perimeter devices. I now have to upgrade that. Or, I've implemented zero trust security, but it didn't necessarily include, remote access or endpoint, or the perimeter gateway isn't performing as well. So, or, all these products together aren't necessarily working together, which is the approach whatever approach you're doing, you need to be able to have tools to be able to look at that and be able to see how they're actually integrating. And lastly, the most important piece is that, when I get a failure, what am I actually looking at? Well, how do I use this to be able to build this? And we can, as salespeople, as partners, we can actually use these tools or use these questions to be able to generate more services revenue within their customer's environment. And thereby, by doing that, so you become the security advisor for them. You become the more, you become the the advocate for that company to move their business, tie the technology, and to be able to create business outcomes with the technology. So that's very important to do. So if you look at Checkpoint though, overall though, the most important thing that Checkpoint is, and like I said, I've been here for 24 years. So the thing is that we've always managed to meet the requirements for security. All right. We've always been able to do that. When VPN came out, we already had encryption. All we need to do is remarket it and be able to develop some tools around so our users can use the VPN. All right. Those kinds of things are already there. And if you look at that all the way till today, we have, we were looking at, next generation. Now we're looking at threat intelligence. Now we have other technologies built in like SASE and all these, looking at the MITRE ATT&CK platform or the MITRE ATT&CK framework. All those kinds of things are all tied in together. And so, we've always been able to meet the market demands and the market, what the market needs today. So we've been able to do that. So we're also recognized overall, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because you're obviously here because you definitely like Checkpoint. You definitely want to learn more about it. But we cover a very wide range of technologies within each area. And because of that, because we're so focused on security, we're able to secure the cloud, the network, the mobile devices, Internet of Things, the endpoint. And so all these things are tied together. What I'm going to focus on now is not necessarily is the cloud is the mobile or Internet of Things. All these tools kind of work together utilizing the security management system or the tools that we have within that environment. And that's part of that Infinity infrastructure or Infinity architecture that we have in place. So all these actually work together. All right. But the focus is utilizing those tools that we have in our security management, in our threat intelligence, and all those tools that are available to you today to use, and which even our incident response teams use, all right, to mitigate risk, to evaluate what's actually out there. So these are the kinds of things today. And on top of what we do with security, I mean, we do work with other vendors, and you might be already using this, but the biggest thing is when you start working with these other vendors, we have this entire ecosystem that all works together via API or via, scripts or whatever it is. And so this is really important. So when you invest in Checkpoint, when we go to the customer and we talk and try to meet those requirements of what the executives are looking for, what we're looking at is that, there's three things we look at. We have the people, the technology, and the business. So with the tools that we have available, the people, we have 3,500, security experts in the company, and they've developed tools, utilities, and they've actually translated their expertise and their experience and the skill levels they have into the tools that you see today. So you're not only investing, when you see the tools, you're seeing the people that are behind that, their competencies are right behind the tools that they've developed, so they can pass that on to you. So executives and administrators or C-levels or even MIS directors don't necessarily have to be 100% experts on the next malware attack or the things that are going on in place or what happens during a command and control. They just need to have the tools that they can look at and be able to visualize what's going on. The other thing is that because we've been able to have the people, they've turned that into technology, again, like the management pieces and the architecture, and be able to create some innovative tools that you can use to be able to pass that on to the customer. The customers already have it. If you already sold Checkpoint, they already have this information. But it's really for us, in order to increase our services revenue or increase our stake with the company, we have to be able to use those tools and be able to use those tools as added value in our services as we deliver that to the customers. All right. And the last thing is because of this is all about a business investment and turning that into a business outcome with the technologies that we actually produce. So the investment in Checkpoint it will give you the capability to do all of the things I talked about, becoming the customer's advocate, increasing services revenue, and so on and so forth. So that's very important. And when we look at this, we look at this, I look at this as there's a continuous sales cycle. And the focus I put this together, and I know it's not 100 or it's not black and white, but typically when we do sales, especially at Checkpoint, we might start off with the sales tools that are available to us. And I'll go over some of these sales tools because that's the focus of this. And as we do this, we can generate from the sales tools, we can generate solutions or sell them products. And then what we do is we can now add in our orchestration tools that we have in with the other customers or with the other vendors, such as the ecosystem that I'm talking about, right? And we have these orchestration tools that are available so we can tie in other technologies in place and be able to work together. Again, that's another area of services revenue that is not even, I'm probably not going to talk about that today, but I want to mention that because so we go from sales tools to solutions and then to the orchestration. And then we do the delivery, which is basically the professional services side, is building that up, whether it's lifecycle management, whether you're buying a SKU into that environment, or if you're doing planning and design. And if you might use our professional services to do this, or you're already perhaps doing this yourself. So we do this and we be able to, be able to offer that to you so you can actually sell it right off the bat. And as you build your services environment, you can start utilizing the same tools that we have that we use into your services practices so you can actually, you can increase services revenue. And then the last piece here is managed services. There's a number of managed services that are actually that we actually sell today, and there's a SKU, but you can take some of those managed services and actually create them yourselves. So like, for instance, we're in the cloud today, and you can build the services environment in the cloud portal and become a managed services. That's a different story. That's a different guideline. And I think we should be able to have maybe another discussion around this. But these are some of the things in the sales life cycle. And I call it continuous life cycle because just because you sell this piece or just because you sell this, it becomes a spiral. What else can I sell them? All right. I may have used one piece of the tool, but how can I use another piece of these tools to be able to sell more product, be able to sell more services, be able to deliver more product or services in their environment, or maybe perhaps building up a managed services environment. So it becomes a spiral, a continuous sales cycle of trying to generate more revenue based on your relationship with the customer and your stake into the company. So this is a really big deal that I look at. So in order to build the services practices, utilize the tools that we have available, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. So, so in doing so, I'm going to go over the first piece right now. And the first piece is called CP Check Me, okay? And CP Check Me is, I don't know how many people are actually utilizing CP Check Me today, but CP Check Me is a tool that we have. You go to www.cpcheckme.com, all right? What you'll do is you'll generate your customers, or you can utilize this tool as kind of this a pre-sales tool or a pre-services tool to just kind of show a customer, this is what, based on, if I go to your, if I'm internal on your site and I run this, what are you actually blocking? What is actually being passed through? And so you might go on site, go through their gateway, okay? And then go through the gateway and then go to this site called CP Check Me, and it will produce a report. And this report is very, it produces a really nice report that your customers can get, and it shows you the mitigation, the risks or the mitigation around that. So I'm going to pull this up, and then let's see if I can. Here we go. So here's the report, and this is just a sample copy. And what it does is it shows this is the IP address I was at. This is the operating system I was running. And then it shows the report results, all right? It shows what attacks I went through, what phishing sites, if I was doing ransomware, how much download. And then, basically it will show you real time. It'll show you whether you pass it or you didn't. If it was a red checkbox or a red check or red X, that means you didn't pass it. If it was a blue or it was a green check, that means you passed it. So it will show you that real time. And then you can, when you get a report, it will show you things more in detail. Okay. And so it goes down and shows you this information. Now, the great thing about this is that this is not invasive at all. You can run this anywhere. Sometimes I'll run it at a seminar I might be at, or sometimes I'll run it at a customer site. And sometimes customers will use it to just run it, just to do a baseline check of their systems. And what I typically do, and this is more technical, but if you're a technical person, you might be able to look at this, is in this environment here, I run it in a VMware environment. And I assume in a classic case, I assume that I'm in I pretend I'm in their environment and I run it through my gateway. And this is a checkpoint gateway that I set up, and I access this and I actually run this, and it will show you what's actually blocking. And this is basically the rules are wide open. And then what I do is I actually have a piece here that let me see if I can show you this. Is what I typically do is I'll run this, and I actually have these saved. I have a policy saved off where it shows the mitigation of all of these attacks that I just launched against your system and be able to verify it. Now, I'm actually not doing an attack, but it will be listed as an attack because all we're doing is just showing, the signatures and things that how we can get through whether or not you use an SSL. And I show this into the environment. So when a user is, if you're at a customer site and you run this and you see holes, and then you run in your VMware system, you run it with the policies enabled, all right, what it will show you is all the blocked attacks, what our gateway does. And now I'm able to give you the ability to, to show you how you can remediate these attacks using our gateway. And all this is on our user center. You can go to one of the SKs and look up CP Check Me and be able to see the mitigation results that have come out. Based on that. So it'll tell you these are the rules you have to set up on the checkpoint gateway in order to block against these attacks. This is what you have to set up with SSL to be able to show you we're going to block these attacks. This is what it looks like. This is what we're using with DLP, and these are the rules that you need to implement to be able to block the attacks. And there's more than one way to block it, but I have a set of rules built into this environment that will show a customer that I can block these attacks. So this is a very good tool, actually a starter tool, to be able to build services up to actually show customers that this is what I need to do. And this is a pre-sales tool also. It can be used as a pre-sales tool, not just build services, but be able to do pre-sales to be able to strike to enter into the conversation of, with the customer if you're selling them threat prevention or any of the other tools or any other blades that we might have that we're using. So this can also be run against the cloud. It can also be run against an endpoint. All right. It can also be run with a mobile device. So keep in mind, you don't necessarily want to run it all at one time. You want to just kind of show piecemeal. So you have the ability to go back to the customer and show them, let's talk about cloud. How are you protecting against the cloud? And run the same CP Check Me report again. So this is what we do. Any questions on this? All right. I'm going to move on to the next piece. So as part of the continuous sales cycle, all right, and as part of the sales tools that we have available, let's talk about the intelligence report, okay? The intelligence report is a very good tool. You can get it at the user center. But here's some facts I just wanted to show, and this is a Forrester research, is that when salespeople go in, are they prepared? And one of the things is that, are they knowledgeable about the product? 62% said yes, 37% said no, all right? And this was just a research that was done. And I know these are stats, but this is in general, it might apply to you. So what in red here is like knowledge about my industry. Do I understand my industry or the industry, the customer's industry? All right, 42% yes, 57% said no. It's extremely important to really understand their industry if we're selling them security, because there might be vulnerabilities in that environment that pertain to directly to their industry. For instance, healthcare might be an example. So we have that, built, we have that, we have the tools, and we also have, the security solutions behind the healthcare environment. So that's one of the things. So the other thing is prepared. Are you prepared for the types of questions to ask? 30% say no, 75% says no, 30% says yes. That actually might be a typo, because it's like if you did 100%, that really doesn't make any sense. But the bottom line is that there are more no's than there are yeses. All right. And then this is last thing. When you go to a customer and you start talking to them, ahead of time, and you qualify them, or you're ready to you want them to take it to the next level or into the POC level, I said, do you have relevant examples and case studies to share? 21% says yes, 78% says no. And that's really important, because when you do the presentation or when you go out to the customer, you need to be able to have the tools available to you. Now, it's not just the Checkpoint tools, because I showed you just one tool you can use. There's other tools that are available within the user center. Now, if you do the presentation, you have to understand that most attendees really understand the stories, or they remember maybe there's a risk, or you talk about a customer, your previous example of what you did at a customer site, rather than stats. Now, I did show you stats, but you're not going to remember these stats. But you will remember is the stories and how to get to those stories. So what I wanted to show you is to create the story. And I'm not too sure how many people know this, but we actually have a tool called Intelligence Reports, and it's at techpoint.checkpoint.com. This is expired, so I'm going to have to log in. And so if you don't have a user center ID, you should be able to have one, and you should be able to log in. So I'd suggest that, try going ahead and actually using this and logging in, or get a user center ID and be able to build this up. So let me see this here. Let me try to, I'm gonna have to use an authenticator app. This is part of our two-factor authentication now. And I'm using an authenticator app to do this. Thought I checked that box here, but I think I'm deleting my cookies here. Oh, that doesn't work because the app changed. So I'm not too sure how many people actually use this, but there's these intelligence reports that you can pull together. If I go here and I can pull the intelligence report, I can look at some great information about the country I'm in. Let's just say United States, because that's where I'm from, or that's where I'm in. I want to compare it to everything in North America, and maybe I want to focus on something like healthcare. Let's see, there's a healthcare one out here someplace. I thought there was one. Did I pass it? Here's one right here. And so what it will do is it will go through and it will generate an intelligence report. And I'm going to skip ahead because I know that we don't have that much time, and find that intelligence report. And let's see, because this one might take a while. So I'm going to pull this up so what it will come up is you'll be able to download a file. And this is actually through our Checkpoint research. And this intelligence report will give you a summary. It gives you indicators, and it also gives you intelligence around the industry for your customers. And you can use this tool for pre-sales engagement, or even even a service engagement. So you can look at this, and it gives you a whole lot of information. So I can go through this and understand the landscape, the security landscape of the industry, or the industry that my customer is operating under. So if it was healthcare, I can look at that. The other thing I can do is, once I know this, like let's say I want to, there might be some ransomware attacks in here. Like for instance, over here, there might be some ransomware. And these are some of the latest breaches that we found, like I just pulled up for this month. All right. And so there's some ransomware out here, like here's a district court in Louisiana got hit by ransomware. All right. And so these are some areas, it may not be directly towards the healthcare, but it is it's mainly critical infrastructure. So these are the things that I'm looking at. So, okay, these are things that are actually going on. And so what I could do after I've done that is I can go through and look at Checkpoint customer success stories and build the environment and use this. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this site. All right. It should have been a clickable box, but it was not. And I'm going to show you what I can use at this site. Oh, there's the healthcare piece that I just showed you. All right. And let's just say I want to look at the industry is healthcare. All right. And the location I want to talk about is in Americas. And let's just pick a healthcare. So here's one. Here's several of them that are actually going on. Let's look at like a ransomware attack, because I saw some of those. And here's one that was a ransomware. So if I read their story and I take a look, I can use this story because this is actually it's customer referenceable. I can use that story and look at what the business challenges are, tie that in with my and then tie that in with the latest intelligence reports that I pull together, and then talk about the solutions that I've actually been able to implement or that we're able to implement at this customer site. So it might not be one of your customers, but it's an example of what we can use, the pre-sales tools that are available to us that we can use to build our business case or be able to build our services revenue and add additional, add additional services revenue, and on top of that, add additional, just revenue in general to the to the site. So this is what these are the tools that are available. So let me go back and see if there's anything else I have not done. But these are, again, these are really important tools that we can use, and I think it is it would be to our advantage to use these. Now, these are very much underutilized because when I show customers this, they or our partners this, they didn't realize we had an intelligence report. They didn't realize that the customer references are available online. You can actually go to our user center and look at other customer references, but the ones that are available online are referenceable, and you can use that data to be able to sell in the environment. So any questions on the intelligence reports? Nope. Okay. So we're going to continue on with the other tools that we have available. And some of these tools you've already heard of. So like the security checkup report is one of them. Okay. This is basically the tool that we've been using for the past few years. And in the past few years, we saw a 70% of utilizing checkup reports become a valid business opportunity that we're able to sell. And what a lot of partners do is that they will use this as an assessment tool in the environment. So you can do one of two things. You can do it as a tool to build your services revenue up. You can use it as a pre-sales tool, all right? You can do it as an assessment tool that you can, if you're doing services, you can maybe do this, run this tool maybe 4 times a year and provide the reports to the customer. So for those of you who don't know, this tool is basically at a high level is we actually connect to the customer's network on a mid-span port, generate a report, and then we present the findings to the customer. And it gives you a whole range of data, okay? And this can be used. Some partners actually take a certain piece of this, put it in their reports, and be able to deliver that to the customer. So the idea is that depending on who your audience is, take this information, be able to show that information to them. Now, this is what we do. We connect it to a Mirrorport. We actually do it in line. And then the strategy, and so the strategy is once we collect the data, we actually, plan for what type of services we do, and then we deliver it to the customer. But ahead of time, what we've been working with some of the other partners is give me some accounts. Let's look at what they actually have. Let's identify what they have, and then let's collect the data and then do the assessment report. And then based on what we find, we can go back and find out what we can sell them, plan that in the environment, and then be able to deliver that to the customer. So this is really important. And one of the tools that we have today is that we utilize is Smart Console. And I'm going to show you Smart Console from our perspective, okay? So this is actually, you can run this in demo mode. Now, anybody can run it. It doesn't have to be a technical person. If you install it on your as a client on your device, you can run it in demo mode. You just got to select demo. And then now I can go through and look at the logs and reports. Now, this is really important because most customers only utilize a certain piece of this that I've seen. And, if you're very advanced and you're very well, knowledgeable in the product, you'll typically start creating this and start utilizing the tools. But if you're using it as services or as pre-sales tools, you can go into the customer. Even if they're a Checkpoint customer today, you can go in and start running the report. So I can look at the report, I can pull it up, and I can run the security checkup right here and be able to run it in the current environment. So I don't necessarily have to plug it in if they're already a customer today. So this is important to look at because this gives you the ability to be able to run this in the customer's environment, and then I'll be able to view this report as needed. Okay, so if I wanted to do that, I'll be able to open it up, be able to see the reports, generate the views that I need, and then be able to deliver that to the customer. Or I can do what I need to do in this environment. Here's the report, and again, these are the tools we have today that are available with the tools that you've delivered to the customer. There are other tools that are available to you. Okay. There's, I just showed you one piece of this. There are other tools like, if I wanted to pull this up, I can show other, other reports built into this, or you can generate your own reports. So one of the things that you can do is, this is the security checkout report. I can also launch this, and this is new with R81, as I can also launch this showing like a MITRE attack. Okay, so I can show this and say, hey, this is what it looks like, from the MITRE attack perspective. So I can show you a framework, and I see if I can pull this out here. System's running a little slow. I may not be able to get to you. So I can actually run this. So if I look at this and I pull a view up, so I actually show you a MITRE attack. Now, this is a little different than what I kind of mentioned. I was talking about security checkout report, but I'm trying to show you the tools you can utilize in the Smart Console to be able to use as a pre-sales tool and deliver that to the customer. So here's just an example of a MITRE attack view, and I can drill down even further and show a customer what it actually looks like. So here's might be an event where there's data destruction. Okay. And again, this is new in R81. I can show this, and I can drill down even further and show, do a little bit more forensics. Again, the idea is to be able to make it as easy and as simple as possible for the customer without having some, serious, security expertise in line. I have this available. Customers are implementing a MITRE attack framework in their environment. And so I have the tools that I can show them to be able to use in their day-to-day activity, or you can use that again as part of your services, practice. So this is something that's available that we can show today, and with R80.1. So this is the Smart Console. The other thing I can do is with Smart Console is I can actually use this. See if I have this here. Is I can use it in the cloud. So some of this information, if you don't want to install anything in on the environment, you can also run it into the cloud. So I can actually log into to the portal. Let's see if I have this portal system actually running. Oh, here it is right here. Here's the Infinity portal. And right now I can actually go to Smart Cloud, and I can run this without having to into the web interface. So now I can use this tool to be able to show the Smart Portal if they have this managed into the cloud, and now be able to run this without actually connecting to a to a Windows device. I can run it as in the web. Now the browser is now the Smart Console, so I have this capability. Same things. I can do the same thing as I did with the client. So this gives me that capability. And one other thing about this is that if this is in the cloud, you can now request access, if your customer allows it, to be able to run these reports. So now it's in the cloud, you access it through the Smart Portal, login name, as long as you are able to log in or have authorization, be able to pull this up, and that information will be available in the cloud platform. This can also be utilized as an MSS or a managed service program, so you can do this. So this just gives you some, again, the other tools that are available that you can use. Again, I'm not going to go through a lot of demos here just because of time. So that's another tool that we have available. So any questions so far? Any questions over the Smart Console? All right. So I am going to look to see if there's any Q&A. No Q&As right there. So the next piece, and this is a very highly utilized tool that other partners have actually started using as an assessment tool. And this is security posture management. Okay. And I can go through and show you this, and it's probably better for me to give you an idea of what it looks like. See if I actually have see if I have something running. No, that's CloudGuard. So I don't actually have it running right now. But with this environment is with our security posture management tool. It is a vendor agnostic tool that that we can use. We can utilize an assessment tool. We can use it to build as companies move over cloud transformation as part of a workshop or as part of the activity as they move into the cloud. You can use this tool to try to show them the capabilities or where their security holes are, and even integrate it with the CI/CD pipelines if you need to. And then the also is that you can build it as a readiness assessment tool. Now I'm going to go through, here's actually the site right here. I'm going to go through this. I thought this was actually a clickable site, and show you what we can do with this. Oh, that's photos. I want photos. Quit. Again, if you guys need to be able to get a full demo, you can certainly do that. I'm not going to show it here. Oh, it was actually up and running. I just didn't click on that. So with the security posture management is that I can utilize this as an assessment tool. And one of the cool things about this is that right out of the gate, I have rules sets are already available. I have compliance, over 13 types of compliance, regulatory compliances that I can actually utilize in here. So if I wanted to look up like, you see some of here, NIST, ISO, if I do anything around HIPAA or anything like that, I can run this against the a customer's cloud setup. Now there is some onboarding and it's very relatively non-invasive. We just have to onboard them, connect to the subscriptions they're running depending on what environment. Now keep in mind, I can run this in a multi-cloud environment. As you see here, I can actually connect to any type of environment and, in AWS, GCP, or even in Azure. So, but the tools that are available are very, are very, there are the number of tools that are available, a number of reports I can generate. So let's look at like a checkup report for CloudGuard. All right. So I'm going to run this actually in AWS. And let's just run the assessment. So this is actually tells you what each of the rules and what I'm actually running. And if I run this in AWS and run this as an run it in AWS, run it as assessment, it's going to give me a lot of information that I can use and go back to my customer and show them the capabilities of the product. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and I'm going to show you what the report looks like. And it doesn't really, this one shouldn't really take that long. But once it does it, it'll generate a report, and it will also show you the remediation steps that you can use to work with the customer. Again, see, this is the report. This is basically the report online I've generated. And again, this gives you just some visibility over what the landscape or what the security landscape for that customer into the cloud. And so I can pull this down, and I can actually look further into and look at the details of the report, what it failed based on the report I wanted to run. And I can actually generate the report if I wanted to. And once I generate it, it will actually, give me, I can do an executive summary, do a full report, and then take that and move it into your own report or wrap it around the value-added services that you already provide with the customer, and do this on a more recurring basis and be able to schedule this out. So that's really important. The other things that I talked about is building it as a services or as a compliance report tool is I can actually build this into the environment I want to. So let's say I took this, okay, and I wanted to generate a new type of report. I'm just going to use the rules that I had, copy it over, and there's actually a cloning command, and I just went ahead and cloned it here just for the sake of time. And again, you can go with your local teams to then be able to get a demo on this. And then now I can actually go through and build a report. So let's say in here, I look at this and it says, well, maybe I need to modify this. And instead of looking at 32 hosts, maybe I need to do it as, something bigger and modify it, maybe 48 hosts, and I can do that. And the nice thing about this is that I don't have to have programming language experience or anything. I can do this relatively easy and build the environment as I need to using this GSL builder, using basically straight, almost English type of environment. So I can run this type of environment in, I can build it as I need to. So if I needed to, again, I can do this whole thing and edit this and be able to show what I can actually do in the environment. So this is just some of the things that I can do, and it gives you some capability. But that's what we use with the security, the cloud assessment tool. This is an extremely powerful tool as a pre-sales tool for if you're working with customers into the cloud, because in the cloud, typically they're building the environment and they don't have in the network, the network teams or the security teams don't have any visibility of what's going on in the cloud. Use this tool as a pre-sales tool to be able to get to the customer's environment and to be able to take a look at this. Onboarding is relatively quick. Within about an hour, you're going to be able to generate and be able to see the exact same types of reports that I get to see in the environment. And then some of these reports are very are very detailed. Again, I'm not going to go through the demo, but they're very detailed, and I can drill down the types of reports that I have and then what it actually looks like, from the customer's perspective, what are actually, the path to to areas in my environment. I give that, have that capability. But the big thing is that I wanted to show you that you can generate reports and show that to the customer as an additional pre-sales tool. So any questions on this one? Because I know we're starting to run out of time, and I wanted to give you guys a lot, if you have any questions on the tools that we're able to use. Anything? All right. So I'm going to go through and talk a little bit and rather quickly over the next piece that we have. And some of the pre-sales tools is Infinity SOC. This is a very, very good tool that we've used in our incident response teams have used. And the best way to show is to show you kind of a demo. But I wanted to just kind of give you the story is that basically a European bank, they got shut down basically, and they actually had a SOC, but their team was relatively small. And so they actually, when the IR team got called, and from the bank, they were hit with ransomware, and it basically dropped the bank to its knees. And this happened in February. And so the IR team went out there, they kind of take a look at it, and they looked at the anatomy attack. And this is all information from our incident response team. They utilize the tool, be able to see what's actually going on. And this kind of information that that the anatomy attack and the reports that you can generate is part of what our Infinity SOC does. We have the capability of showing you exactly what actually happens in the attack and gives you, pull all the information that we have, all the log files, and generate this. And, you're not going to be able to pull that information rather quickly with a small group or even even maybe your own teams. But what we can do is grab all the information, pull this together, and start drilling down and look at, drilling down what actually happened in the environment. So this is actually pulling all the information, looking at everything that's out there, and then getting this information and then be able to look at the real attacks inside and outside of the organization, do some rapid investigation, and then be able to understand what the environment looks like without having it to be as invasive as most other things are. And so if we wanted to, we can actually run this into the environment. And this one actually has a YouTube video that gives you what it looks like, what the environment actually, they actually demo the tool. But again, we're able to drill down into the environment, look at malicious activities, look at the assets, the infected assets in the environment, and drill down. This is a great tool to be used as if you're building an incident response team or building a security team, or just utilizing this and showing them and the customer, taking this slide, showing the customer, this is what you can do to the environment when you have a Checkpoint ecosystem built in the environment. So utilizing this, I can be able to have some intelligence. Now, this whole thing about being technical, what the executives are, that this is a big technical sale, I'm translating this into more meaningful reports that executives can actually look at and be able to have a better understanding of how their security systems are actually performing in the environment. So this gives me a really good indication of when an attack occurs, how do I respond to it, what do I need to do, and be able to look at this type of information on a single click. So I'm able to do this, be able to present the forensics report and drill down even further, even with a small group of people. So this is very important. Again, I'm not going to go through and go through this entire presentation, but you get the idea is that the whole idea, the whole intent of this is using these simple, easy security tools that are available to use today to be able to generate more business revenue, be able to generate more services revenue for with your customer. So these are the types of things that we're doing. Again, this is actually used by our incident response teams to be able to mitigate some of the risk or do some remediation attempts or remediation for their customers. So this is very useful. Any questions so far? All right. So I'm going to move on to the last piece, which is basically SandBlast Now. And SandBlast Now is another tool that's basically that we utilize today. And this tool today is that you can use to be able to generate not only to generate report, but actually do some threat hunting into the environment. Very much like you see with the security checkup report, but this is actually pulling a lot of data in to be able to look at what's actually going on, and you can actually make, attempts to modify your policies as need to. And it's a great tool that you can use to build services, build the environment up, or be able to help your customer build be able to move in that environment. So that's actually a video I don't necessarily want to play. So you can get this, you can actually sell them an appliance, or you can use it with the appliances you have today and build this environment. And it's tied in with the threat cloud and be able to generate the reports. You can do it passively, or you can do it in line, for this, and then be able to generate. Again, it will show you, this is what it actually looks like. You can drill down over here on the left side, drill down even further what the policies look like, but this gives you an overview. You can drill down what each of the other environments. Again, these are the tools that we use for to build other partners, if they want to enter into services or to add additional services revenue in their environment. So this is what we use for that. So again, I'm kind of running out of time here, but you can actually show this. You can actually get, I would say get with your local checkpoint, SE team, and they can show this actually more in detail. So what's next? I've showed you a lot of the tools that are available. So when we look at this and we work with partners and trying to build their security or trying to build services revenue, one of the things that you look at is, if I wanted to do services, what do I need to do next? Am I a partner that just resells the SKUs that we have available? Or do I want to be able to build my services practice up? And so I want to become the focal point for all the services in the environment, or do I want to build it as an MSSP? These are all the things you can do with the tools that I just showed you, because it gives you a new source for revenue for you. It gives you the ability to put your foot in the door. And the biggest thing, these are tools that makes it really simple. You don't have to be necessarily security experts. You just need to know how to talk about it. And we provide some of those tools already available to you. These are great tools. There's really not a whole lot of investment. Some of the tools are already in our portal. That's already available to you. Some of these are, like for the Infinity SOC, that's actually at the checkpoint portal. That's available today. So if I wanted to pull this up, I can actually pull this up into the environment and show you that is there. If I pulled it up, this is the CloudGuard piece, but if I pulled it up in the checkpoint environment, here's the Infinity SOC, and that tool is already available to you. So these tools, again, a lot of the our partner sales teams don't know it's available. A lot of our SE sales teams. So I wanted to at least show you that these tools are available, show you where to find them, and give you just kind of an insight of what we're doing with other partners to build their services revenue up and to build up additional pre-sales, revenue over the solutions that you want to sell them. It expands across all the checkpoint solutions that we're able to deliver. So this is all I have. That's really all I have to share with you today. I know we're running out of time. We have like 10 minutes. So I'm going to leave the next 10 minutes for Q&A. So any questions thus far? I'll look at the Q&A, see if there's anything. So one of the questions I've been asked is that licenses, do I have to have a license to do this? The answer is no, you don't. You can have an eval license if you have to. And some of these tools are available, like the Smart Console that's already there. You can use the demo license and show that. If you want to show them real reports, you would have to hook it up and be able to collect the data and then produce those same reports. So you can use it in demo mode. And like, I showed you with the SOC tool, I can actually use it, pull it in demo mode and show you the, what it would look like. Because sometimes it's not easy to generate all these types of attacks at one time. The other way you can do this is actually go into our user center and run it in demo mode. All right. And these are tools, they're not just technical tools, because there are also sales tools. And if I run it at our tech point, and I can generate this and actually set it up for a demo if you need to. So here's just an example. Here's one called partner onboarding. But if I created an environment and I wanted to do training or a demo, this is basically a partner demo. So I can show you, like, here's partner training and partner name. Let's do Checkpoint, because I'm not doing it for any partner right now. And out of demo point, I can pull up any of those tools. So like SandBlast now is actually here. We call it CloudGuard IaaS TAP. That's just a different name for it. It was all the other tools like the Infinity SOC is right here. So you can utilize those tools already available without having a license in. The nice thing is that the user guides are relatively easy, and it will help you step through the product without really having to become very knowledgeable, because they're very much a step-by-step product, and it's or a step-by-step solution. And here's just an example of the demonstration lab, and it shows you how to demo the product. So you don't necessarily have to have a license if you don't want to. You can utilize this. All right. Any other questions? Let's see.
Thank you so much, Rick, for presenting for us today. If there aren't any other questions for the partners on this call, just please don't forget to log this webinar on your Engage app for points. And we'll also be sending a recording of this presentation